every amount of pain there.
Something big, like a Star Wars or a Marvel.
Wouldn't have been good, but would have been like, okay.
You are at the movies with Ace,
And Martin.
and this week potentially went under the Silver Lake with Andrew Garfield. A little throwback, I guess you could say now, an A24 classic. This is a 2018 movie, Unk moment.
Yeah,
Uh,
8 years old.
But yeah, Nate recommended this to us and the audience at home. Nate, why did you recommend it, and what's this about?
I feel like Under the Silver Lake is one of the kind of most under-discussed movies that like aims to be kind of frame by frame analyzed. You know, it's a blank check follow-up to David Robert Mitchell's huge success in It Follows, which was a pretty successful kind of John Carpenter revivalist horror movie right before the rush and wave of the prestige horror craze with Hereditary. And I think the company that was behind distributing that niche subgenre of prestige horror the most was probably A24. I feel like the A24 horror movie was its own subgenre for a minute there. This very quietly flew under the radar. I think it premiered at Cannes, was kind of mixed reviews. You can kind of understand everything about this movie, why more established Hollywood people probably wouldn't like it. I mean, it's kind of a wild movie to make, especially if you're like still kind of coming up in the industry. It's garnered a cult following. I hear this movie talked about a lot more now than I did in 2018 when it came out. I was fortunate enough to be one of 2 people to see this movie in theaters, and I like this movie a lot, and I hadn't seen it since COVID, maybe a little before the lockdown, like somewhere in the early 2020s, and I haven't seen this movie in at least 5 years, and I figured it would be interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
So yeah, what were your initial, thoughts to this wild ass movie?
My review of this movie is a mixed review because I think there is a lot to love about this movie. Right off the bat, it is one of the most modern equivalents to a Hitchcock movie. And in case you didn't know it was a Hitchcock movie, there's literally a fucking gravestone in the movie that says Hitchcock. That is kind of one of my gripes in it is metaphor city, this movie, and some of them really work, some of them really land, and some of them don't. It's almost like it's a burrito, right? And you're shoving all these metaphors in, and it feels like some of maybe the plot, some of the directing was kind of squeezing out of the burrito, and falling out of the final project, I felt. But I love how it's shot. I love the score. There are things I love about this movie, but there are things that bother me. The movie really had me. I want to say 70% of the film it really had me, but there were moments towards the end, and we'll get into that it did lose me a little bit. I was still on board, but my legs waving off the boat. I don't know if I was all the way there.
Fair enough. I think this movie is more ambitious than it is like great, if that makes sense. Like I would hesitate to call this movie like an underrated masterpiece, or like I don't know. Like I have such complicated feelings for this film, and I love it, but I definitely understand why like someone could watch this movie and just be like, "Oh, that was fucking stupid or pretentious or just like not worth it." And I totally get that too.
I don't think it was.
I think this movie.
I don't think it's a stupid movie by any means. I think, as George Lucas would say, a little too far in a few places. I think the director and the filmmakers they really went for it. They shoot their shot with this movie.
They do. I think the attention to detail is one of the things that makes this movie super spectacular. They like hired people who decoded the Zodiac message to like create the kind of hobo code and like unspoken languages on like some of the signs and stuff like that throughout the world. And there was like a huge level of effort into making the movie itself be almost like a game or almost a puzzle in itself to crack. Which again, when you think of when this movie came out, like I feel like 2018 was maybe like the absolute peak of insert movie here explained on YouTube. And I think it
Yeah.
was almost a smart idea for them to go this over the top with it, given like the subject matter and the plot. But yeah, this movie, one of my favorite elements about it is a like neo noir. It is like it is a noir film. Like you said, it was kind of like a Hitchcock joint, and I see that because of the like layered characters and like the through line mystery.
Very, very Vertigo. If I had to pick a specific
Yeah.
Hitchcock movie, yeah.
Definitely. And I feel like the score has to
Yeah.
be like almost a nod to that Vertigo similarity just a bit.
Mhm.
Especially with like the musical motif. The first time we hear it, it's like when the squirrel falls from the tree in like the first 2 minutes of the movie, and then you just hear that like that stinger, and then that same music cue happens like 7 more times when either something really dramatic happens or when like a mystery is being solved, like a very specific answer has been like question has been answered, and you're like, are they taking the piss out of a Hitchcock movie? Like, is this a joke? Am I a joke to you?
when the squirrel scene happens in the beginning, it was an instant reminder, like, yep, it's an A24 movie in the late 2010s. Here we go.
And the fucking fake out dream sequence with
Yes, with the
dog
treats.
the dog eating dude. No,
Funny
this
movie.
movie is very
It's-
much a
it's
product
got-
of its time.
It's got some
really
comedic
funny.
moments.
I think this movie's a very underrated like comedy. Like there's so many times where I was rewatching this. Like I remembered the beats, but like I didn't remember specifically certain line deliveries and line readings. Or just like Andrew Garfield is like an incredible physical actor in this movie.
Yeah.
He's doing some like dumbass like Buster Keaton type stuff at times.
The biggest issue I have with the Andrew Garfield character is that he is both a perv and gets laid, and that was really annoying. And it was an interesting character though, because he gets so invested in this. It is that's where the biggest comparisons to Vertigo for me was. It's this man following this woman that he barely knows, and it becomes an obsession, a fascination, and it almost like lustfully, like there's something really weird about it. And you kind of forget that because you're on this journey with him and you want to see where this goes, and then they get to that conversation at the end and it's like, oh yeah, they spent probably 2-3 hours together. They got high and watched an old 1920s movie, and that was it.
This movie, like the main character is just like your unemployed friend at 2 p.m. Like, and I think that's something that's really hard to like a hard pill to swallow, where it's like you don't really want to see what your unemployed friend is doing at 2 p.m. for 3 hours straight. Like, you've got a job, you don't have time to be solving mysteries.
This is what we all were doing in 2020.
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, there's something about the shitty apartment complex and the pool. It feels like college for us.
Yes.
Like,
Big.
This feels like this could have been a holiday weekend when we were in college.
It definitely shows that like weird side of LA too, where it's like, yeah, these people are just like, they're just existing. Like you're in this like shitty apartment, you're out there because you thought you could do something. Perfect age range for Andrew Garfield too, to have it be somebody in there. The character's probably in their late 20s, but Andrew Garfield's probably like 35 and while shooting this. The guy, he's...
Yeah, I'm curious what it says in the script, because I feel like this character is almost definitely written to be early 30s. I can't like confidently say that, but just because like with the knowledge of obviously with like the old iPhone like OS systems and kind of the fashion choices in the film, I think it's set in like 2010 or 11. Like it's a period piece, but only barely from when this movie came out.
That's true, and really into Nintendo, like collecting Nintendo Power magazines.
Right, which would make sense if he had like siblings and they were like hand-me-downs.
Right.
And like at 30 in 2010, he would have been
Probably an
in...
N64 kid, right?
Yeah, exactly.
GameCube,
and
yeah.
like the music that he listens to is like a big like Nirvana guy, so that means he would have been like 14 when they were at their peak. Like,
yeah,
I think it makes sense for him to be in his early 30s somewhere. There's not a ton of movies that have this kind of like meandering detective stuff, but there's enough where there's like a collection of movies that people really like or don't like. There's like The Big Lebowski, and there's like Inherent Vice, and then there's like this. And I mean, this is probably a hot take. I would rather watch Under the Silver like 1,000 times before I watch either of those other movies too many times. I am not a Big Lebowski guy. I'm an it's my like 19th favorite Coen Brothers movie. Like get lost.
Damn. Yeah, I've only seen Big Lebowski once, only a couple of years ago, but it is a solid and I think because I am such a big Hitchcock fan, the Hitchcock stuff really stuck out to me, and I don't think it hurt the movie per se, but it's it's always hard when you really pay tribute to a great director, especially in one of the GOATs like Hitchcock, and it does get a little distracting at times. But I think what was happening to me was, in a Hitchcock movie, there's always that edge of your seat moment where you're following, boom, there's an edge of your seat moment, and then you're locked in. I never had that moment with this movie. We kind of kept meandering. The music guy's there. Didn't really like that metaphor. Didn't really care. Meandering. Oh, they're buried like Egyptians. Okay, pretty on the nose. And then the movie's over. And I think that's why like 30% of this movie really lost me.
That's so valid. And I think it's kind of upsetting to have a movie like this where you actually do find out the answer. Like I guess that is kind of typical for noir or even neo-noir.
I started to think like it was American Psycho. I'm like, are we just gonna have an ambiguous ending? Because there were some parts of it that got a little crazy. I mean, getting bullets thrown at them in the lake and stuff. And I'm like, there were times where he escaped situations and I didn't really know how he did successfully as well.
Yeah, right. And I mean, I think that says something about what the like message of this movie is, or like what the narrative through line is. Like I think this movie is coming from Andrew Garfield's character. I think his name's Sam, is coming from his perspective. Because I think there's clearly lines where, things escape reality, become like way more whimsical, way more fantastical. And they're usually after he's had a big like montage of solving a mystery or solving a piece of the puzzle. Right. And then it goes like really weird and off the deep end. But like the literal world that we see in the movie, I feel like this man's mostly just in his apartment getting too high and playing video games.
Yeah, that I really was waiting for that moment where when it did hard cut and he was just standing in his apartment, I was like, oh, is this it? Because his hair was different too. He looked like Andrew Garfield. All of a sudden, I'm like, are we about to fourth wall break here? Like, what's happening? And no, the movie just continued, and I was like, all right, he fucks the bird lady. I'm like, oh, okay.
I don't know if we needed that.
Yeah, it felt. I was like, he's got mommy issues. I understand.
This movie is drenched in metaphors, like you're saying, and I think there's a way to read into literally every single shot of this movie in multiple ways, which is both frustrating because it's like it leaves everything kind of vague, even if something is being explained in like the mystery of the movie. It's still like kind of vague because even though you have the scene with the songwriter, which is like very explicitly over the top of like this, fictional like puppeteer that is manufacturing the media around you to hide messages and stuff like that.
Yeah, like a studio implant.
Right. Yeah. But the way that scene's delivered and how it ends with him smashing his head in like a tomato paste with Kurt Cobain's guitar, I don't think that's meant to be like a literal thing that happened, so it's kind of frustrating because it's like that's a really well like it's one of the best acted scenes in the movie, I think, and it's one of the best like directed scenes with where it chooses to cut and where, it's just flashy enough that I'm like, oh damn, okay, we're firing on all cylinders. And then you're left with like there's no lasting repercussions of that scene. He doesn't even take a guitar home. Like this guy's got to pay rent. He could have taken a single instrument in there and been set for life.
Yeah, could have just put that shit on eBay and like could have got a whole year rent probably of that.
But he does take the gun.
Yeah, that's true. It really shows how much of a loser he is. Like he is so obsessed with this one thing, and he could have resolved all his issues like multiple times. And like I'm sure there's a metaphor there to the fault of his own as well. And yeah, and of course there's a connection with the homeless. We find out that he hates the homeless and he's about to become homeless. He is hating what he becomes, and there's a lot of interesting stuff there that I wouldn't have minded if we talked about that more instead of him trying to fuck somebody every 20 minutes. It felt like.
Yeah, no, seriously.
This guy was giving Captain Kirk a run for his money.
This guy is like deeply disrespectful of women and is in a city where he's actively viewing women being oppressed. Like, I think one of the most like telling shots of what this movie's going for in terms of the statement and feeling and sentiment of exploitation in Hollywood is where it's like he's walking down that street, and I think it's like right after his car gets repossessed, and he sees all these women walking. He is actively just checking out these women. And then they're in line to go to like a movie audition is what the sign says. And it's just some schmuck in his garage with a camera. And it looks very unprofessional and unsafe. And you're like, yeah, that's actually kind of what it is. Like, not literally, but it's pretty damn close.
Yeah, even as a child actor, I went to auditions where it was at some lady's house. Like, some things are just really, like that. And especially, back in 2018, I'm sure it was still like that. Self-tapes are now bigger more than ever. I can never imagine just doing self-tapes every time. That sounds like hell, actually.
Yeah, you can make a full-time job out of doing self-tapes and never get seen. It's awful. Yeah. Speaking of, did you see that SAG's going on strike again?
Oh no, is that official?
Well, it's not official. They are coming back to the table in 20 days. They're neither party, the motion pictures or the actors are supposed to talk about it, but they're coming back to the table in 20 days for renegotiations on the 27th, I think. So
hope those Russo brothers are done with their reshoots. and Denis, don't delay Dune 3 on me, please.
Anyway, getting a little sidetracked for some current events. What did you think of your boy Topher Grace in this film?
He was very We Live in a Society, and I had a lot of fun watching him. I do. He wasn't needed for more of the film, but on a personal level, it would have been fun to see more of him. The drone to that woman's window and then starts crying, and Andrew Garfield just leaves. Is so painful, and I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah, it's really dark and it's really on the nose, but I think like that scene directly mirrors the garage audition one I was just talking about.
Yeah.
The one thing I really like, and I think this is definitely something that they were going for with this movie, is a lot of the like ensemble characters are these like fucking weird ass hipsters, and I think like when you think of this being like a early 2010s period piece, it makes a lot of sense. These are fucking Lumineers fans. This is just what they were like in Silver Lake in the 2010s.
It's also the romanticization of Los Angeles that we really had in the early 2010s. Like, I think of all those Viners that unfortunately the Paul brothers and other people that moved to LA and either made careers out of themselves or tried to, and all of a sudden just LA and influencers were now like being one, and it felt like it was this new thing for LA, and it got really romanticized. And, you know, with COVID and then everything after that, it seems we have shut that down. I mean, nothing's being shot in LA anymore. What even is Los Angeles now?
Yeah, I have no idea. If there's a reason I chose to stay on the East Coast instead of going out west, because I can put up with like Brooklyn and, you know, specifically Bushwick and its hipster community, but there's something about this breed of hipster that I'm like, no.
Which I had a really funny question. Out of all the venues and parties Andrew Garfield's character went to in this movie, which one would you be chilling at?
I'm going to that album release party at the Forever Hollywood Cemetery. Like, absolutely.
Oh, nice.
I'm skipping the movie premiere there, but that album release party looks lit.
I think I'd chill in that like underground club with the graveyard stones as tables. I'd have a couple drinks there. That looks like a good time. They obviously were able to have a conversation, so the music's not overbearing either. If you just want to chill, it looks like a good spot as well.
And when it does go crazy with the music, it's REM.
It's good.
Which is
yeah,
sick.
I was about to say I'm rocking out to that music as well. Like it's right up my alley. But the Graveyard premiere was also up there for me. Not into the LA house parties. Not that sounds like awkward city.
I really like the Jimmy Stitz character, whatever the hell his name is, who's like the guy who's wearing the dress, and Andrew Garfield keeps running into him, and he's like, he's great. He's kind of like the perfect, just like, he's just in the moment. He's always talking about work, and you're like, what the fuck is your job? And you realize it's like reporting about these parties or what. Like, he's Gossip Girl for like Silver Lake magazine or something.
On coke, constantly like touching his nose and shit.
And he knows everything and has slept with everyone, and you're like, this guy is crazy. But I like how he like hits the nail on the head where he's like, we're on a rooftop in a pool, but there's the ocean right there, and it's like the most true shit I could think about. It's like, yeah, just go to the beach, come on.
Yeah, we don't really see, like, other than the Hollywood sign, we don't see a lot of beaches. It really is like just the exclusive nightlife scenery of LA that.
Yeah, and specifically like the area around Silver Lake. Like, I think if you looked at a map, besides the part where he goes to like the Hollywood Hills and Mount Hollywood and all that shit, most of this movie takes place in the course of like 8 city blocks.
It really depends, like the part of town you live in. You could just live in your own bubble as well. Like, it's kind of insane that LA is a city. Like, just fucking, I don't know how people do it. That was my thinking through all this. I'm like, man, how do people live there?
Did you catch the young Sydney Sweeney role?
Yes, I was like, oh shit, probably, I assume one of her first major roles.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think she's only got a couple lines of dialogue. I don't think the character has a name. But shooting star number 2, let's go.
Yeah.
I think there's something kind of interesting about her character being, struggling actress and prostitute in the confines of this movie's universe. I think it's interesting. It's really good casting.
What was the biggest scene that stood out to you in this movie that you always, when you think of this movie, what are you replaying in your head?
So, I mean, I guess around the confines of me seeing this for the first time, I just wanted to see what the It Follows guy did. Like, I feel like they could have marketed this movie a whole lot better, because it is like a mystery. It has moments that are suspenseful. I feel what you said about you like the Hitchcock movies because there's always the scene where you're on the edge of your seat. Mm-hmm. And for me, the first time watching that, the edge of my seat moment was when he goes back to the writer of the graphic novel Under the Silver Lake's house, and he goes in and watches the security camera footage of the owl's kiss, feminine assassin coming in, and essentially it cuts away from it, but it kills that guy in his sleep, and it's like, it's so tense, it moves so creepy. Like, there's some good physical body acting in that
when
scene.
She shows up again in his apartment, another really good scene. Like, yeah, and then runs away like very animal like. Like it didn't feel human. It did feel like it was a cat running into the other room. Like it the way very good physical acting by whoever that was. Shout out. Like it really solid.
I think it's very, very interesting. There's a couple of different readings on like the metaphor of that character, and the way I see it, I think it is just some like female bounty hunter kind of type that's working for whatever that elite is to try to get people that are too close to the information. But maybe that's just Andrew Garfield's perspective. Maybe that's just what his character thinks is actually going on with that.
It's you want to believe something so much that you start seeing it, even though it's not there. That could have been what they were playing with as well.
But that to me is the showstopper scene because it's the one that feels the most out of like a horror movie.
Yeah.
In the whole movie, and it really is like it's really tense. Like it's really well done. I wish there was more stuff like that throughout the movie. Like I wish there was a sense of like danger and stakes in this movie because everything is so much larger than the character we're following. It doesn't always have the gravity that you think it does. Like I feel like Under the Silver Lake just goes too off the deep end for what we're actually seeing in a way.
Yeah. It felt like once we got to what it actually was, I was interested, but by then it was like we have been through so much. I'm like, there's no way there is a satisfying conclusion here. Like impossible.
I have a question for you. What is the scene in this movie that just like took you out of it the most? That you were like, what the fuck am I even watching?
The music scene did kind of take me out because of how long it went, and I was like, all right, I get it. When they are in the lake and she gets killed and the shot of her in the ocean, that took me out. Like that felt a little much, and I'm like, did he just get swatted? Like what the hell was that? Like it was just like it felt really out there to me, and after that I was like, what are we even gonna? How is this movie even gonna conclude?
I feel like it needed, like, unfortunately, the way that this movie sets up its mystery, it kind of needs one of those really long, like, exposition-heavy, like, here's the twist scenes that were common in some noirs. But honestly, I find more common in the movies that pay homage to them. Like, the one that always comes to mind for me, like, the example of, like, I'm going to explain everything that just happened, is in Eyes Wide Shut, when they're playing pool and the guy like dumps all of the information around the night before in one long scene, and then the movie just continues on. Like I feel like once you cross the line where you get that much information or that much like knowledge of the mystery, there's very little to know like where do we go from here.
It's a tough balance because Psycho is my favorite horror movie. I hate the ending of that doctor explaining everything about Norman. I turn off the movie before that scene. It ruins everything. And all because they were scared that people wouldn't understand why Norman was in a dress. So they had to just tell you to your face. And like it's 1950 whatever. I understand I understand why they felt that way, but at the same time, let the art speak for itself sometimes.
Yeah, totally. This movie does not feel like it had any studio control or involvement at all. So I think this movie choosing to over-explain itself is it's maybe getting a little too high on its own supply. It's sniffing its own farts a little bit too much. I think that's why this movie comes off as pretentious, even though I think it is pretty accessible.
It has its pretentious parts, but it's an A24 movie in 2018. That's what I signed up for. Like, and I wanted to bring this up as well. A24, I mean, this was another reminder to me. We talked about it on this pod before when I talked about Death of a Unicorn, but talk about a studio that has lost its aura. Even though I think this movie is good, not great, I will take 10 of these a year over some of the A24 slop we have gotten the past couple of years.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the drama yet or have any plans to.
No, I do want to see it.
It's like I think they're finding their niche. I think A24 kind of overextended themselves in some ways. Like the most similar movie to this, just blow for blow, that I can think of is Beau is Afraid, which is another one of those movies that's really long, that lacks studio control, and it has all of these like hidden messages and meanings and metaphors on top of metaphors and an unreliable narrator, etc., etc. The similarities go on beyond that, but it definitely seems to me that the A24 that buried this movie is not the same A24 that just wrote a literal blank check for $50 million to Ari Aster to make Beau is Afraid. Like that alone signifies the drop off in quality, where someone was like, you guys are cooking here and we don't necessarily think it's like profitable or accessible or worth watching, so we're gonna dump it. Versus no, we're gonna put Beau is Afraid in IMAX. Fuck you.
And we are. I mean, and you know, does Under the Silver Lake even get a wide release post 2020? Probably not. You know, even though it does have Andrew Garfield, I don't think so. I think it goes straight to streaming. Unfortunately, the A24 as a studio won't really take chances like this anymore either, unless they are really confident in it.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there was like this, you know, faux, like, oh, you make a successful small movie, A24 might, you know, guarantor your next one or whatever.
It was the cool studio.
You could definitely see that, because I think It Follows was, you know, produced by someone else. They saw that fresh talent. They saw that this guy had, like, other scripts that he was sitting on. Someone read this thing and was like, yeah let's make it. Like, let's see who wants to do it.
And it's what Neon's doing now. I guess Neon might make Under the Silver Lake in 2026.
Yeah, they would, and it would come out the second week of January, but I wouldn't have seen a trailer and didn't know it came out.
That's true.
So apparently, you know, this script has a lot of kind of damning elements to Andrew Garfield's character, to Sam. Like, you're not supposed to like him. The first like real scene we get of him doing anything is beating up a bunch of fucking kids, which is kind of wild. That scene is crazy.
Shoving the egg.
Beating up like a 10-year-old kid, like, it's just a wild thing to put in your movie, especially to have your protagonist be the guy doing it. But apparently Andrew Garfield read the script and was the first person they offered it to and accepted it upon reading it. He was like, I'll do it.
Was when you were first watching it, with those scenes of that, was there a part of you that was like, is he gonna be revealed to be the dog killer himself?
Interesting. Do you think he's not?
I don't know. Because you know, there's a lot of interesting stuff where he talks about when he's walking with the man's daughter, and he's like, I don't know about that, if the dog killer is able to kill people. It's very possible.
Yeah. I think that there's like 5 different ways to see it. I think they're like, the 2 main ones are either he's definitely not the dog killer, and one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is when he wakes up from drinking the tranquilizer tea that are putting the other people in their underground tomb, and then the homeless king just comes and like kind of rescues him, but also arrests him and like interrogates him, and is asking why he's got the dog treats in his mouth. And it's one of the best acted scenes in the movie, in my opinion, where he's telling this like honest, or at least you hope it's honest, he's like crying and trying to hide his feelings, but he's like, no, I used to, you know, love a girl who had a dog, so I'd always carry dog treats thinking that she'd take me back and I could rub the dog's ears again. He's got like tears coming down his face. It's like, oh my god, that's like a beautiful scene.
Yeah.
People either think that scene is literal, or it's him just lying to get out of, I guess, getting killed by the homeless people.
And maybe the ex-girlfriend, maybe he killed her dog, and this is all guilt towards that. Could be a theory as well. There's a couple of different things there. I don't know. There was a lot of things that, you know, that were left on the table. Some of them were good, and some of them I was like, come on. If you're going to explain the rich people in and burying like pharaohs, can we at least explain some other stuff as well?
Well, especially since the dog killer is the first mystery we're revealed to. The opening shot of the movie is the coffee shop saying, "Beware the dog killer," and the lady trying to clean it off.
And another thing I was thinking about was, they say that those tombs don't have a way out. He had a way out after he took a tour, basically, himself through the tomb.
Oh,
He
yeah.
landed in that grocery store. So I wonder if they were lying about that you can escape.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah. How many tombs can you possibly build, too, if they're that big?
All right, name 5 celebrities who you think would get their own tomb.
Oh, man.
You know Elon Musk is getting a tomb the moment he can.
Probably. I don't think Kanye actually would. He was kind of the first one that came to mind, but he can't stay silent for 6 months. He's got too much to say.
Humanity, if Kanye could stay silent for 6 months and we've got like flying cars and shit.
Somebody could convince Joe Rogan, like if they're a guest on the podcast, somebody could convince him on the episode to do it.
I agree. So those are the 2.
Trying to think if there's any weird actors would do it. Not living, but I think Michael Jackson would. He was into that hyperbaric chamber and stuff. I think that would be a solid one.
This might sound crazy, but I think Dennis Rodman would.
It would have to be located in North Korea, but he would.
He wants that North Korea bunker life.
Yeah. I'm sure everybody I keep thinking of have too big of an egos to do it. Like they'd rather be kings in this world. They wouldn't believe that something could be better than what they have.
Yeah. That's true.
So it's gotta be somebody really out there.
Oh, I got it. Vanilla Ice.
That's a good one. That's he would have to borrow some money because I don't think he could afford it, but he'll find a way.
He's cashing in the royalties on the Secret of the Ooze song.
What did you give this movie on Letterboxd?
I think after my most recent viewing, this is a 4. It's closer to a 4.5 than it is a 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's a lot to really appreciate about this movie. I think there's a lot to like laugh at and enjoy. And I honestly think I like this movie and this is just one reading of it, but I like it as a exploration of like acceptance and self-care. This might sound weird, but the whole movie everyone's complaining about how much he stinks. And that could be because he's like getting sprayed by skunks, or it could be because he's killing dogs. It could just be he has a bad vibe about him and people don't like him.
He might be an unemployed asshole. Like,
yeah,
it comes down to, and a lot of people at 30 years old struggle with that. A lot of males at 30 years old struggle with that. And he even has that quote where when he's talking to Topher Grace, like, do you feel like you could have fucked something up years ago and now you're in this bad timeline and there's no turning back? Like, obviously the guy's got some kind of depression, especially if he keeps going back to his past with the NES and the VHS players. Like,
yeah, he's got his favorite Playboy from when he was a kid on his nightstand. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I forgot about that. I'm like, who would keep that? Not only keep that, but remember as well. Yeah, that it's obvious the dude's got some kind of like lonely ass depression, and we live in a society.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite scenes is when he is on the phone call and she says, well, I guess I'm stuck in this situation. I better make the most of it. And then it immediately cuts to him looking at the Hollywood sign.
Yeah.
I think that movie, like, that literally hits the nail on the head for how I feel about the whole movie. Now, if the next scene was him applying to a job and paying his rent, I think this movie would be a 5-star for me.
Yeah.
But because this man refuses to get a job, the next scene is him contemplating killing himself with a gun on the couch and watching the movie his mom taped in VHS to him. And then he goes and sleeps with the next door neighbor.
Great mom. Shout out to mom. She is a Queen movie fan for taping some 1920s Kino and sending it to her son. Love that.
No, I like that a lot. I like the ongoing metaphor too of like it's important to remember people, and she's obsessed with ironically I forget the name, but she's the first woman to ever win Best Actress.
Yeah.
Julie Gaynor, is that right?
Julie Gaynor. Do you think it's also a take on idolizing celebrities, with it being in L.A. and you can almost say Andrew Garfield idolized this woman he saw as well that he barely knew. That could also be a metaphor of, don't meet your heroes, or don't idolize your heroes. You never know as well. Especially 2018 peak, some
This is like
celebrities
right
are
before
assholes.
Me Too really takes off. This is like
Yeah.
right around that same time. Yeah.
Like,
No, I mean I think that is a big like point of this movie, and I think the people that you look up to are just as shallow and vapid as you are, and I think that this movie is more aware of, I guess, its perception than you would expect, and because I think it's overdrawing attention to itself, it's like begging for people to go through and like nitpick and find every frame. And I think because of that, like, it doesn't fully commit to actually saying something profound. And I think that's what people have a problem with. Like, at the end of the day, this is just a character-driven story, despite all the suspense and mystery. Like, I don't know what else the ending means. If not, it's about his, like, character growth of finally not smelling bad, I guess. Like... he might be homeless now, but at least he doesn't smell bad.
And I'm right behind you. I gave the movie 3.5 stars, and it is closer to a 4 than a 3.5 for me. It's a really solid movie. It's got some, it does kind of lose me, but I can't deny, the first like 70% of that movie, I'm locked in. Really, really liked the decisions they made on a technical level as well.
And if you're one of those people that just loves rewatching stuff, every time I've watched this movie, I've found something else in the background. Not watching it for the first time in like 5 years, I was reminded of all the things that I had found previously, and I had a lot of fun. I remember what like some of the writing on the wall says in certain scenes and stuff like that. I'm like, that's funny.
If you're a big like YouTube video watcher, like Things You Missed, big movie for that. You definitely watch this movie, and then you'll have a rabbit hole of videos to go through.
Oh yeah, I can't even imagine what the YouTube discourse looks like about this movie, especially now that it's on Netflix. Like, this is the most accessible this movie's been yet. I think the first time I watched it at home, I had to rent it on Amazon.
Yeah, I went to Prime first, A24, I think of Prime, and I was like, oh, it's on Netflix. Wow. Like, I was shocked.
Yeah, maybe we're talking about it at just the right time. Maybe it finds its audience now.
For our last 15 minutes here, Nate, I know you went to the movies this week, and it had the biggest opening weekend of any other movie in 2026 so far. Super Mario Galaxy hit theaters, and what were your thoughts? What was your experience like?
Man, first off, I just want to say good job, I guess, Hollywood, for having 2 gigantic opening weekends back to back this early in the year. That doesn't feel very common in the post-pandemic world. So
I feel like doing
Hail Mary.
an animated movie, a video game animated movie on Easter break, on a break where kids are out of school. It's almost cheating. The first Mario movie also did this.
I totally agree. It's smart. It's kind of an untapped market. But yeah, holy shit, this movie's way worse than the first one. The Super Mario Galaxy movie, it is kind of like, it feels just like video game cutscenes. It feels like all of the moments in between the gameplay of a pretty fun and family forward video game.
Do you think they jumped the shark by going right to Galaxy as the second movie?
You see, the elements of Galaxy that they borrow in this, I don't have a problem with. Like, honestly, no. It makes sense. However, Galaxy has one of the better plots of a Mario game that I can think of. And to not really use any elements of that other than Rosalina is there is pretty fucking stupid. We don't even see Mario turn into a bee. That's like the first level of Super Mario Galaxy.
Thing? Yeah.
Yeah. No, we don't even get to see Bee Mario. So yeah, what this movie does instead is it becomes an MCU movie, and in a so there's two movies in the cinematic universe so far. There's the first Mario Brothers movie, which I think has some faults. I think the voice acting's pretty bad. I think the writing and like the characters are very surface level. This movie like doubles down on those elements where there's like 8 scenes with dialogue in this whole movie. Most of the movie is montages. There's
at that
couple
point
of good moments.
At that point, just play the fucking video games.
That's what I'm saying. This felt like a cutscene compilation of all the scenes I'm not playing, and I didn't get to play the game, and I'm upset.
I hear the Fallout show's great, and I'm not saying the show's bad by any means. I watched 2 episodes. I went and re-downloaded Fallout 4 and played the game and kind of forgot about the show. Like that's kind of the issue with me with these video game properties. I just want to play the game. When they're too accurate, that's just how I feel.
Did you hear the early reviews for Zach Krager's Resident Evil?
No, is it? Are we not back?
Someone said that it is the Mad Max Fury Road of horror movies.
Holy shit!
It is 91 minutes long.
Holy shit! This might
king.
be our film of the decade.
Dude,
this is right up our alley.
The guy who made Barbarian and Weapons is delivering a 90-minute action horror movie. Like I'm here for it.
Yeah, of a video game property I actually care about a little bit. I've played some of the games. Like I've never seen any of the movies, but that's fine. They're not like the games.
I just feel like moving forward, the Super Mario movies aren't gonna be for me. The Nintendo universe or whatever.
Oh, you think you're done after this?
I don't give a shit after this.
Yeah.
I mean, we got enough Fox McCloud, Mr. Game & Watch, and like there's an Olimar like Pikmin reference. Like we see enough characters that would end up being in the Smash Brothers movie. Then I don't think I care what this movie has to say about Nintendo video games that I like. It's so like Glenn Powell plays fucking Star Fox, dude. Are they trying to Chris Pratt Glenn Powell in record time?
And it's, that was my thing too, is I never moved past the Chris Pratt as Mario or Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, etc. It always bugged me. And I thought I liked the Mario movie more than I did, but honestly, now listening to you and reading and watching other Galaxy reviews, I do not remember that first Mario movie. It is not memorable from a film perspective. I could not tell you what the fuck happened at the end of that movie. And these movies and it is made by a studio, Illumination, and made by a studio that makes movies that are supposed to be forgettable. They're for toddlers. They want you to keep rewatching them to make them more money. This is not for us, and they're trying to cater us. Yeah. They're naming it Galaxy. It's a game we all grew up with in my demographic. They're trying to get that extra money, but you're right. I think a lot of people are going to tap out. Like, what are they going to do? Are they really going to do Odyssey next?
No, I don't think they are. I really don't. I don't think they have any interest. I think they just make a Super Mario Brothers 3 movie. Like, they just call it Super Mario Bros. 3 the movie. Like, I don't think they fucking care.
And the fact that this Wario or Waluigi is insane.
No. Dude, Daisy doesn't show up till the second post-credits scene.
It's the fucking disrespect to those characters that have been around since the 90s. Like,
yeah, this movie does not care to like expand on what we know about Mario. The only character that they add Rosalina and they add Bowser Jr. Rosalina's character is in a cage for most of the movie, like Luigi was. We see her interact with like the Lumas at the beginning, and she's like reading them a bedtime story. And then we find out that her and Peach are sisters. What? And they have like Elsa and Anna frozen magic. Like
they're
they
Star
control
Wars
the galaxy together. Yes.
Oh,
it's
man.
so stupid. It's literally like the dumbest shit. And this movie doesn't care about elaborating on the world of Mario at all. The best scene in this movie takes place in a casino block that is like rotating the entire time, that's underneath an airport. And it has all of the villains from Super Mario Bros. 2 the like rip-off
Oh.
Japanese Doki Doki Panic, like ported over Super Mario Bros. 2. So like
That's
Wart
sick.
the Toad and Birdo are all there. And like that's the best part of the movie, and it's Peach and Toad fighting like a swarm of those little ninjas from that game. And that's the best part. The movie does not get better than that, and it's like halfway through the runtime. Bowser Jr. is like a little bit more of like a dynamic character than like Rosalina. I really like how they play with the fact that he's just trying to win his dad over, and he's in fact more evil than Bowser, because Bowser's kind of like, well, I kind of like the Mario Brothers now. I'm gonna help them out, and like that's funny.
Yeah.
Until like it's revealed that Bowser Jr. is the actual like villain, and then it's like, okay, well, what else are we gonna do with this character? There's like a cute flashback of Bowser and him having a puppet show bedtime story. That's cute. This movie says more about bedtime stories than the Adam Sandler joint of the same name.
Do you think the avoidance of some Mario characters, are they actually focused on a Smash Bros. Movie? Is that really the end goal here?
I think that is the end goal. I mean, there's
crazy
no way
to
you
think.
there's no way you make a Super Mario Brothers movie that has 25 minutes of Fox McCloud in it. Like, I'm dead serious. He like T-bones the entire second act of this movie.
And the Game and Watch robot, right? Who is in Smash Bros.
Yeah. So Rob the robot is there at the
Yeah.
airport, and they do like the sloth from Zootopia shtick with him like turning, and it's like, okay, I've seen this before and done better. And then there's Mr. Game & Watch shows up in the fucking final fight scene for some reason. Yeah, it's like they're clearly gonna do a Super Mario or a Super Smash Brothers movie, and like for me, I'm 10 years too late for that. I do not care about a Super Smash Bros. Movie. And, like, if this movie came out in, like, when I was a kid, I don't think I would have liked it. I felt like I would have liked the first one. And that's what really hurts. They don't even have Donkey Kong come back. Like, there's no Donkey Kong. There's no Seth Rogen Donkey Kong in this, which is, like, kind of a blessing in disguise.
It is kind of a positive, yeah.
But it's also like that was a major supporting character of the last movie,
and you would
and
that was Nintendo's big new game on the Switch too as well. That is kind of surprising. Nintendo didn't push that.
Yeah, I don't know. This movie is a total nightmare. I think I gave it a 2 stars. I mean, the animation's good, dude. Say what you will about Illumination. I mean, they make pretty movies. Like the animation's good. I like the art style. It's growing on me. There was like a lot to appreciate about the technicalities, but they phoned in this movie. The screenplay could not have been more than 20 pages long, because
That's crazy.
There's literally 8 scenes with dialogue.
It sounds like it literally felt like a kid like getting a bunch of toys and smashing them together, and there's your movie. Not in a fun way, like, you know, some movies could be described in that case. You know what Chris Pratt movie I watched recently?
Did you watch Mercy?
Mercy hit streaming, and I checked it out. Oh my god. It was so bad. It was so bad. Insane that was marketed to be an IMAX movie. There are like 2 sequences that, because the preview played before Fire and Ash, like, and it was in 3D, the preview. And I was like, they're really trying to get me to pay IMAX 3D in January. And and it's so bad. I'm not one to, you know, hate Chris Pratt. I mean, him as a person, you know, everybody's got their opinions on that, but as an actor, I don't really care. I like him as Star-Lord. If he's Booster Gold in the DCU, cool. I just don't think he's the leading man material here. And I think I've said this before about Chris Pratt on the pod, where he is such a great side character in movies and television we have seen this guy have. But he does that Guardians movie and now has this leading man agenda, whoever this agent is. And then you get these dog shit movies like Mercy that just don't work at all. And he is not a strong enough leading man actor to do a movie like that either. You put somebody else in there, it's still a bad movie, but it could be a little better. But he just doesn't have that range to be just sitting in a chair. He watches his wife get murdered. He didn't know his wife was murdered. and I just the reaction wasn't believable. It just felt like he was staring at a green screen the whole time, unfortunately.
Yeah, that movie looked rough.
Yeah.
I don't.
I
Have
was so
anything
curious
against,
about it.
I don't have anything against Chris Pratt at all. I just think he's like the prime example of like a celebrity that anyone can take a shot at just because he's not that talented, he's not that good.
It's a good
And
punching
for whatever
bag, yeah.
reason, yeah, and for whatever reason, like centrist America is just like, yeah, he's a movie star, and it's like, is he though?
We don't really remember this as a society, but that's what Paul Walker was before his tragic death. He was kind of the butt of the joke for years in Hollywood.
Yeah, but Paul Walker did the Fast and the Furious movies, and then he did a bunch of bullshit like B-list straight to DVD schlock.
I could see Paul
this-
Walker doing this movie though in like 2010.
This movie would be so much better if Paul Walker was the lead. I didn't see it, but I can just tell you
Yeah.
that's a way. There's at least more potential to add a meme, like when on a cutaway.
Oh,
The funniest
and
thing Chris Pratt's ever done is made like a anti-Italian, tweet in 2011. Like that's the funniest thing he's ever done. Thank
Yeah,
God
really
Chris Pratt
curious.
isn't directing movies. Could you imagine how annoying that would be if he was
No.
also trying to do the John Krasinski thing of
Ugh.
like taking himself seriously as a filmmaker, despite resting on the laurels of just being a fucking sitcom actor 10 years ago? Oh my God.
Ugh.
You know what movie I miss? Tag. Let's just make a Tag
Yeah.
2 right now. Let's get that instead of Mercy in theaters.
Comedy movies in general in theaters has been so the genre's kind of dead, theatrically released comedy movies, and I don't know if it ever comes back. Like I don't know if we ever get a Tag or something like that. Like Mercy tried to almost do like a found footage thing to make it seem like it would be interesting. Maybe they probably pushed it to January because the Ice Cube War of the Worlds might have suspended found footage movies for a while.
Yo, I that movie's awesome.
Yeah, no, I want more. I don't want them to leave.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we've caught in theaters recently? I saw the new Disney Pixar movie Hoppers. I give that one a confident 3.5, closer to a 4-star.
Okay.
That was one of the best kids movies I've seen in years. It's the best Pixar movie since like, I mean, I don't really care for Coco, but that's the last one that I've seen that like has a lasting memory.
Yeah, I still remember that movie pretty clearly.
Yeah. I also liked Luca,
Yeah.
which that one was like one of the ones that got buried during COVID on Disney Plus.
Right.
But that one was pretty good. This is the best movie since like before Coco. Like this is a great film. It's
That's
definitely
good.
one that if I ever have kids or if I'm watching my nephews or something like that, I'm showing them this one. Like it's funny, it's fast paced, it's entertaining. There's stakes, there's a message, but it's not too on the nose. It doesn't hit you over the head with it. It doesn't go like the safe and predictable ways. Like the main girl who is like obviously this virtuous like rebel who wants to stand up for like nature and stuff like that. She doesn't get what she wants by like being a protester or like acting in like we gotta save the trees and get everyone together way. Like the first montage of the movie is her trying to get door to door to get signatures, and it's clear that no one cares about what she cares about. And so they use like the resistance allegory of educate first, then build a sense of community, and then try to perpetuate the change that you want to see. And so we then have to see her learn and like be humbled, and then she like meets this entourage of fun critters that help her in the resistance. And honestly, it's a smarter and it's a better Over the Hedge. Like it's kind of the same thing. I'm happy to see that the next generation is getting their own.
Yeah.
This is just a better version of something that feels familiar, but it's doing its own thing. It's funnier. It's got its like science fiction-y kind of side to it too.
I didn't realize the lizard meme was in Hoppers. I thought that was like in a different movie. I thought it was in Zootopia. I feel like that meme has been around for like a year now already. Like that alone has hit the zeitgeist really well. I think this will have a lasting impact on, the younger generation.
I didn't see the lizard meme until after I saw the movie, which is kind of crazy because like that's what everyone I told I saw the movie was like. Oh, yeah, I know the lizard, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and what's really funny,
The lizard
is
rocks.
in the context of the movie. I mean, it's not even like one of those things where in like Over the Hedge you have like Steve Carell voicing Amy the hamster. And it's, like,
That's who I was
big-
thinking of. Yeah.
It's not. No, this guy has like
Yeah.
4 lines of dialogue and they're all just like delivered monotone and like underspoken. Where it's like one of the recurring bits in the movie is like the animals trying to communicate with the humans just use a text to like talk like keyboard.
Oh,
And then
yes.
so they go to the emojis or whatever. And then he just turns around to the other critters and is like, well, I have something to say. And they're like, no, fuck off. Like, the whole bit is just like, no one cares about this fucking lizard in the movie. So the fact that it's the only thing with cultural relevance in my demographic is hilarious.
Yeah, it's been a weird first couple of months in movies. We'll see what May brings us. Hard to believe there is a Star Wars movie coming out.
I can't believe you haven't seen Ready or Not 2. This
I
movie was
know.
made for you.
I know. I really took the L. I gotta see it. I just gotta sneak out and see it. Maybe I could this week. There's been a couple of movies. There was a Sam Raimi movie out that I did want to see. I didn't catch either. There's some quality movies coming out that it's actually hard to keep up, and I haven't said that since 2019.
Send Help was a lot of fun. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not going to be on anyone's best of the year list unless you're like a Sam Raimi like diehard, but I really liked it. Definitely worth. I mean,
Yeah.
it plays just fine on streaming. Like it's.
I was
not
about
one
to
that
say,
you're gonna,
I think it hit VOD, so I might give that a rent.
Yeah, my parents watched it at home, and they liked it a lot. And I was like, "How the hell did you guys watch this before me? It's in theaters." Next week, you have a recommendation.
This one is interesting. I don't know your feelings on it, but I recently watched it. I think because it might still be on Netflix. If not, probably on Prime. One of the two. It might be L.A. month because I'm recommending L.A. Confidential. I really want to talk about that with you.
Word. Yeah. Okay.
I have no reasoning. I just checked it out and I was like, this would be a good pod movie. I have some
It
funny.
is a great film.
I have some funny things to say about it.
It's wildly cursed.
Yeah. That's
Multiple actors canceled, director canceled. Here we go.
But
All right, you're not gonna want to miss next week's conversation, y'all. We're going.
It's about to get
We're
wild.
going head first into L.A. Confidential. Yeah, it's what is this L.A. Noir month?
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah, it's weird that it was funny that you recommended Under the Silver Lake because as I'm watching it, I was like, man, I just watched L.A. Confidential. I feel like I've seen Los Angeles a lot in the past week.
Damn, you're gonna have to watch Chinatown next time I get a recommendation.
Yeah.
We're just watching the same type of movie over and over again.
What a double feature we're about to have on the pod 2 weeks in a row.
That's right.
But should have some exciting stuff coming up that I'll announce soon, and stay tuned for that. And yeah, pretty much hope you enjoyed our conversation. Check out LA Confidential if you want to join in on us on the conversation. Let us know what you thought of Under the Silver Lake. It's a divisive movie. I think we would have a couple of interesting opinions, actually, if it's your first time watching it.
Do you think Sam is the dog killer? Let us know in the comment section below. Let's smash that fucking like button while we're at it. Like we're popping the balloons on Balloon Girl. Woo!
This has been At the Movies. No outro. We don't need it.
Yeah.
That-
Yeah.
what-
Why would
what
we
is-
have an outro?
No.